Hi, I'm Rick Reiff, and welcome to Inside OC. Is Sheriff Sandra Hutchins' hard-line approach on gun permits softening her political support? And could President Obama's generosity give political support to an Irvine councilwoman's bid for Congress? We debate these issues and much more on Consider This. But first, a guy who needs no stimulus because he is the stimulus of Orange County's music scene, the Maestro of Pacific Symphony, Carl St. Clair. Welcome back, Carl.
Nice to be with you.
And congratulations. This is now your 20th season, and big festivities are planned. 20 years with Pacific Symphony.
It's just been a great honor and a great chapter in my life to be able to have shared music with those great musicians of the Pacific Symphony, and also to really help lay seed to culture and symphonic music here in Orange County. You know, when I got here in 1990, the music scene and the cultural scene was quite different than it is today, and the symphony has played a big role in that, and it's been a great chapter in my life to be able to invest in.
Well, and just so you're not the only person saying that. Let's quote your friend Tim Mangian from the Orange County Register, longtime music reviewer there. He said recently, when he started as music director, that means you, the Pacific Symphony was roughly on a par with the Pasadena Symphony and the Long Beach Symphony. Now there is no comparison, and of course that's with all due respect to those two symphonies. But
I was just going to say that you won't hear me saying that.
but then he did go on to suggest that just as Yankee Stadium was known as the house that Ruth built, some people think this new Segerstrom Hall was really the house or the orchestra hall that you built. It may not have happened without you.
Well, I think it certainly wouldn't have happened without the meteoric success of the Pacific Symphony, and I played a role in it. But let it be known, it's the board of directors and all the generosity of the people of Orange County that has helped the Pacific Symphony continue to grow. You know, when I got here in 1990, the budget of the orchestra was less than $3 million, and it had an $800,000 deficit. Today, we are the only orchestra in America that has balanced its budget for the last 17 years in a row of our orchestral class. That's something we can really stand up and be proud about.
And that's despite all the money you're costing them, right? With your high-priced musicians and everything else.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Musicians are always there.
20 years, there's going to be a lot of interesting performances coming up in this new season. Well, tell us about that. Who are some of the big names that are coming?
Every person on the season, every soloist, every guest conductor, every work is a work which has deep meaning between the orchestra and me. It's a work that we would have shared on several occasions or we would have taken on tour. It's a composer that has been a friend of the orchestra. It's a soloist that's performed with me regularly or with me and the orchestra regularly, not only here in Orange County but around the world. So it's just a very, very large party of a season worth of friends and great, great music.
Great. Over 20 years, what's your proudest moment?
Well, it can't be just one. I'm sorry. This is like, who's your favorite composer? You know, you can't just list one. But obviously, the opening of the new concert hall was one of the great moments of my life. I mean, to stand on the stage in Renee and Henry Segerstrom Concert Hall and conduct for an international audience with a lot of international eyes and ears on me and the Pacific Symphony, I just thought was really a great honor.
And who were some of the great artists?
Well, Placido Domingo was, the featured artist that evening. Midori was the next evening. Composers William Balcom and Philip Glass. But I must say that if I was allowed another one, it would be standing on the stage in Munich in the Herkulessaal on the first international tour of the Pacific Symphony when we did our European tour 3 years ago, and finishing in Vienna. And having, after these series of concerts, to have not a single negative review from any of the 23 reviewers that reviewed the 3 programs that we took. That, for me, is it's a great gift.
Either you did really well or they're just easier reviewers in Germany.
No, they're definitely not easier reviewers in Germany, because I know that for a fact.
And one funny or embarrassing or worse moment?
It won't be worse, but it'd certainly be the most unusual conducting I would have ever done. When ground was broken for the new concert hall, I conducted, in a tuxedo, with a yellow hard hat, 3 giant earth movers, in sync, almost choreographed like ballerinas, with the drivers inside having rehearsed, and they were turning and moving and throwing up dirt, just like ballet. And there I was, with a huge flag, conducting this waltz. I must say, I've never conducted earth movers before that evening, and hopefully maybe never will again.
Right. It wasn't just a figure of speech that
No.
time. You moved the earth.
We did move the earth.
You talked about the financial performance of the symphony, and so that, of course, raises the question, Carl, can music truly soothe the savage beast even in this bear market? Well, Orange County's Pacific Symphony is trying to hold its own as the economy takes its toll. Reporter David Nazar has our story.
The sweet sounds of symphony, coupled with the sour notes of a struggling economy. Orange County's Pacific Symphony is trying to strike the right chord and hit some high notes, although that's not always easy to orchestrate.
We've taken some measures at this point to reduce some of our administrative overhead. We've shortened the work week for several people in the office. We've had across-the-board salary reduction. We've done what many other arts organizations have done nationally.
Foresight says there are fewer donations. However, the Pacific Symphony is earning revenue from concert goers.
We've sold out 15 concerts this year. So we're seeing this tremendous enthusiasm for our artistic product at the same time that giving from the corporate community and some individuals has diminished.
Pure joy.
Pacific Symphony's Jeannie Scrocky plays the 260-year-old violin her mother gave her. Jeannie says she's not surprised that the concert hall is full, even when many wallets are empty.
Especially in difficult times, humanity is drawn to music and to the arts because it helps us to sort things out, and it helps us to be able to say, I'm alive. And it matters that I'm here.
The list of frustrations is long, but the list of joys is even longer.
That's violist Bob Becker's interpretation of today's economy and music appreciation.
There's a certain entertainment quality that gets us out of the everyday, pain of what we're having to all look at and read every single morning from the Wall Street Journal and your local papers and everything else. I think there's a certain escape that certainly is a valid reason why we do that.
How can anyone be sour listening to these sweet sounds? In Costa Mesa, David Nazar.
Okay. Well, thank you, David. And Carl, at a time like this, money's short, people are hurting, you're needed more than ever, but you come under some constraints, don't you?
Well, artistically, I must say, I don't feel the constraint. I feel, like everyone else, a responsibility to our donors, to future generations, to our audiences, to be as prudent as possible. That means I might want to program a work that has 125 musicians, but we're going to postpone that one. We're going to do the one with 90 musicians or 90 players or with only 4 soloists as opposed to 8 soloists and this and that and the other. But this is not a constraint. The breadth of repertoire is so broad and so wide. There's a lot of great music without looking in at the numbers.
Terrific. And on the assumption that things are going to get better, and as you look ahead now to maybe the next 20 years, what goals do you have? What hasn't the symphony done that you would like it to do?
Well, I think that we have had a great deal of success on the international scene with our tour. I think we have a lot of local, we're being more and more respected locally. I think we do have to work on our national reputation. And when I say national, I mean outside of California, more on the East Coast, New York, and this and that and the other. And we'll do that through projects which would involve perhaps recordings, perhaps another tour, perhaps commissioning works and things of this nature. But artistic endeavors and projects which really bring a great deal of attention to what we do from the outside, but also continue our mission to really become a preeminent music force in Orange County itself.
Fine. And putting aside Segerstrom Hall, which I know you love, is there any hall that you haven't performed in that you would like to perform in?
The Concertgebouw in Amsterdam.
Very good. Okay, Carl, continued good luck. Congratulations on the first 20 years, and we all look forward to this celebratory season that's coming up.
Thank you so much, Rick.
The OC Insider's next, and then, is there a tax revolt brewing? Now it's time for the OC Insider from the Orange County Business Journal. Why are all these people smiling? Well, the people on the ends are Susan and Henry Samueli, owners of the Anaheim Ducks hockey team. The guy in the middle, he's NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. They partied at the opening of the new Science of Hockey exhibit at the Discovery Science Center in Santa Ana. Hard to tell that Henry is actually in the NHL's penalty box, suspended indefinitely because of his role in the Broadcom financial scandal. But speculation, supported by this photo, is that once the court case is over, Henry and the NHL will skate together once again. We recently told you about the Fisker. That's the high-speed hybrid, a sports luxury car being built in Irvine that hopes to hit it big next year. It may sound like a long shot, but the engine's revving faster than ever. Fisker just got another $89 million in venture capital. Total investment is now approaching $200 million. The recession has taken a big toll on OC public companies. The top 75 saw their revenue drop by $5 billion last year. And as a group, they operated in the red, losing more than $600 million. And FYI, 9 of the previous year's 75 big companies disappeared altogether. They either failed or were taken over. That's it for the Insider. Guns, votes, and tea parties. That's next. And joining me for this edition of Consider This, former Huntington Beach Mayor and Democrat Debbie Cook and Republican pollster Adam Probolsky. Welcome.
Thank you.
Adam, as we speak, people are marking Tax Day by having tea parties around the state and in Orange County. Is this a genuine tax revolt, or are we just seeing the implosion of the GOP?
Well, I hope so. Revolution can be a good thing. We were born out of revolution as a nation, and people need to push back and make it clear that we're not happy with the direction of the state and the direction of the national government.
And is there dissatisfaction with the direction of the Republican Party?
Well, I think there's always members within that are not happy with where things are going. But as a group, the Republicans are very cohesive and moving forward and taking back this national government.
Well, except that it tied up with this whole tax thing, or people protesting the recent state income tax increases. There's anger toward these propositions with which Arnold Schwarzenegger and some other Republicans are supporting.
I think it's important to differentiate. Schwarzenegger really doesn't represent any part of the Republican Party of size. He represents a very small piece
of the party. He's got Republican money going to him.
He's wealthy, but that doesn't necessarily make you a Republican at all.
Well, maybe he's representing Californians. And the truth is, we should be revolting against, we do need tax reform, definitely. We need a broad, flat tax that captures everybody. But we also need to be concerned about the fact that we're a donor state, and Orange County in particular is a donor county.
Right.
We
Debbie,
rank at the lowest.
Would you join these tax protesters personally? Would you, do you agree with what they're doing?
No, I don't agree with the way they're doing it. I think you need to be very well informed about how we're taxed and what we pay taxes for before you go out and just protest.
Let's say these propositions that are coming up on the ballot, do you favor them?
Well, I've been in New Zealand for 2 weeks. I'm going to have to pass on that one.
Oh, come on now. You certainly know. You were running for Congress. The proposition would create a rainy day fund. It would extend some of these tax increases that have gone into effect.
I think the push needs to be on total tax reform because there are too many loopholes and it's just gotten so nobody understands it.
Okay, and I still don't understand it, I must
Exactly.
say. Let's go to something that's maybe a little easier to understand. Guns, good, guns bad. So tell us now, Sheriff Sandra Hutchins is drawing a hard line on concealed weapons permits. Our buddy Probolsky over here lost his permit. Anyway,
Thank goodness.
Does Sandra's hard approach mean softening political support for her?
Well, she's a consummate professional. She's extremely ethical. I have nothing but respect for her, and she's showing great courage in doing this because she's there to provide public safety, not to put her finger up in the air and see which way the polls are blowing. I think she's doing exactly what she needs to do, and in fact, if someone is injured or killed with somebody's gun who has a concealed weapon, she will be the one called in the carpet.
Adam, is her hard line softening her political support?
To some degree, for sure. More importantly, she has no constituency that actually supports her. So whether she's,
I do.
she's got one vote. she's going to have to collect a whole lot more countywide to get reelected. She's collecting a whole lot more enemies, people who oppose her on a regular basis. And whether she's ethical or not is yet to be seen, but certainly she's not a very good manager, and that's what she's there to do, is manage a department. And she's not doing that very well. She's
What's
got
your
all
evidence?
kinds of, well, the controversy of her deputies spying on county supervisors is a very good example.
Okay, now, Adam, I have to ask, you're a stand-up guy for coming on and being willing to talk about this. She took your gun away. Now, I ask you, why did you need the gun? And are you part of, you and Mike Schroeder and some others who were, friends of friends, and so you got the permit? I mean,
anymore, it doesn't matter because she took the permit away. I think the most important thing is that cause in a large part of the rest of the state is self-defense. I feel like I want to defend myself, and I'm a law-abiding citizen who's gone through the measures to make sure that I'm not a felon and that I know how to use the weapon. Anyone who goes through those measures ought to be able to carry.
But you didn't have any special need, like Democrats were stalking you and threatening you or something like that.
And most people are killed with their own guns or by family members or people that they know.
And there's no statistics whatsoever that suggest that amongst people in Orange County who had concealed weapons permits.
Okay, so do you think that this hurts or helps Sandra Hutchins, the stance she's taken on this?
Hurts her as far as re-election?
Yes.
I don't think that really matters. I think she's doing exactly what a sheriff is supposed to do. Okay. Apply the law fairly and evenly.
Okay. Speaking of women in politics, Beth Crom, Irvine councilwoman, is going where you went against Dana Rohrabacher. She is planning to run against John Campbell, the sitting House representative in Irvine. Does she have a chance?
Of course she does. When I met her 8 years ago, she was the most ethical, and she just showed the most potential of anyone I knew, and I think she, still to this day in all of Orange County, she has the most potential as a member of Congress, and so I wish her nothing but the best.
Adam, you know Irvine politics well. Does Beth have a good shot?
No better chance than Debbie Cook had. No, not really. You have a very safe Republican seat that John Campbell has for himself, and very different role that member of Congress plays than what I think Beth Crom is hoping to accomplish in that seat. John's goal, and any Republican goal in that seat, is to draw the line and say no more, end the practice of growing government. Beth's position is to do just that, grow government and kind of bring the bacon home. It's a different approach. I think it's well-intentioned, but not what the district is looking for.
Well, you know, our tax monies that go to the federal government, like 78 cents out of the dollar comes back to California. John Campbell doesn't bring anything back to his district. $0. He and Rohrabacher are tied for $0.
See, now that's it, Adam. That's an interesting argument, and Beth is going to hammer that. And we do have an environment now where Obama did very well in John Campbell's district, and suddenly everybody feels we need stimulus money. And so Beth makes this argument that the very things that you stressed as John's strengths become his weaknesses, that he doesn't bring home the bacon, and this district doesn't get transportation money and things like that. Will that play?
The answer is no. The district, by and large, wants to see exactly who's in Congress today. They want to see a John Campbell or a Chris Cox who says, I'm not going to be a part of this process of spending the cheese. We're going to draw the line. And that's what this district wants. Some other districts need that cash and desperately can't survive without it. This Congress, this position in Congress, this district says, hold the line.
Debbie, how about that bacon argument, cheese argument, whatever, lettuce, bananas? But, in a way, the argument that, well, I bring home money to my district, isn't that how we get into the financial problems we do, that everybody is trying to get more and more money, and you measure the representatives by how much money they bring in, and don't the taxpayers suffer?
It's not the money you bring back, it's the service that you're providing. Tax dollars are supposed to provide services, and Irvine has wonderful services. They have one of the safest cities in America. They have great infrastructure. They have wonderful parks. That's exactly what people want their tax dollars to be spent upon. And so to think that we're spending our money to Alabama and Arkansas and not bringing it back to California and our own communities is ridiculous.
Irvine isn't beautiful because we get big checks from Washington, D.C. Irvine is beautiful because we have a well-maintained community, we have a great tax base, and people care about the community and contribute to it locally.
Yes, and that's exactly what they want their dollars spent on. So I don't know what you mean by the cheese.
They want their federal dollars spent on a strong military. So we have peace through strength.
No.
That's what they want their federal dollars spent on. They don't want their federal dollars spent on a park in your backyard.
No, I think they want their dollars spent on clean water, on sewage being treated, on roads, on airports, on those kinds of infrastructure projects, and that's what federal dollars can do. And that's what they've done in Orange County. But it wasn't Campbell or Rohrabacher that brought that money back. It was Ken Calvert, it was Ed Royce, it was Loretta Sanchez. It was not those two.
So you said some nice things about Ed Royce. I'm surprised. You just included him in a.
I'm
not sure he wants to be identified as a bacon bringer, but you just did.
I love his father. But no, it's not bacon. These are essential services that everyone relies upon. So I think that California should get its share.
Okay. While we're on national policy, Debbie, how about energy? I know you are a huge advocate for green policies. Obama's got a lot of initiatives on energy. Shouldn't he hold off on some of this green stuff until we fix the economy?
Well, the economy and energy are totally linked. And we're now in this oil trap where the price of oil is too high to stimulate the economy and the price of oil is too low to stimulate investment in the industry. And so we're in this kind of a catch-22 position. So we have to do something about our energy future. If we are indeed at peak oil or within a few years of peak oil, then we're going to need to bring on new supplies of energy in whatever ways we can or reduce our consumption. I don't think that anything's going to be off base, but the truth is that doesn't get us where we need to go. Fossil fuels do not get us where we need to go.
Adam, what do you think on?
Well, offshore drilling certainly gives us the opportunity to stem the tide a bit here and gives us some local and domestic control over our energy use. So I think it's definitely something that has to be explored very soon.
No, the United States peaked in oil production in 1970. We're now half of what we were producing, and there's nothing we'll find offshore that will change that around. But in the meantime, we need to work on the alternatives.
Finally, we just saw the passing of one of the great political figures in Orange County, Richard J. O'Neill, landowner and a Democrat power. Two governors, former governors, were pallbearers at his funeral a couple days ago. Any thoughts, Debbie?
Well, Dick and his wife were great contributors to Orange County, and I had the good fortune of meeting him and going to his home a few years ago. Just a great man who cared very much about this county, and we will all miss him.
Adam, of course, you were on the other side of the political game from him, but there were a number of prominent Republican politicians who were at his funeral as well.
He's a well-respected guy for sure, and big contributor to the growth of Orange County, a family that developed large parts of Orange County, so a lot of respect.
One of the wealthiest men, too, and when people asked him what he did, he told them he ran a restaurant. He had a common touch, and he liked to relate to people on that level. You can watch this show and past shows by going to KOCE.org and clicking on Inside OC. My guests have been Carl St. Clair, Debbie Cook, and Adam Probolsky. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again Inside OC.
Inside OC is brought to you by the following.
Lennar.com. Today's new homes. Everything you want. Everything you need. That's the logic of Lennar. Lennar.com.
Support comes from City National Bank, providing complete financial solutions to entrepreneurs, their businesses, and their families on the way up in Orange County for more than 30 years. City National Bank believes in the power of the entrepreneur. On the web at cnb.com.
The City of Anaheim. Founded in 1857, Anaheim is Orange County's original city and California's 10th largest city. Information on living, working, or visiting Anaheim is available at www.anaheim.net.
The law firm Stradling, Yaka, Carlson & Routh, a full-service corporate law firm in Southern California, celebrating 30 years, serving businesses and the communities of Orange County with valuable legal advice.
As a professional driver, focus is the key. The same is true if you're a teenager learning to drive. Turn off your cell phone. Keep the talking to a minimum. Oh, and don't drive as fast as me. Your car doesn't have a parachute. The Auto Club, we're always with you.